Thursday night, and we're on Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, and today I went to cover the impeachment hearings. I went and I live tweeted it. I took some photos. I took some video clips for a vlog, although I'm hoping that it comes out well. So it was really interesting. I went there. It was on, in the congressional hearing on the, Trump-Ukraine investigations, and it was really interesting. There was really not a lot of people. Like, the people that I met there were either like reporters or, people who were being paid to be there, or it was like random people. But it wasn't crowded at all. In fact, there were a lot of empty seats. So it was very interesting to me. But it was my first congressional hearing that I had ever gone to, and I really actually enjoyed the whole experience. It was new and exciting, and it was different. I didn't really understand a lot of the context of the hearing itself, just because I wasn't following the whole thing. Like, I wasn't following the hearing. So, but it was just cool to be there and like comment on every little thing, and it's just, you see this on TV all the time. It's like, it's like watching the Ellen show from your house on TV and then actually being there in the audience. It's just a totally different experience. And I really felt like I was on a set of a show. And I was watching it all in person, and there was a bunch of security and everything. It was so interesting. So that's that was my experience today. I live tweeted it, and honestly, I always think that I'm too dumb to explain things to people, but the older I get, the more I realize that the fact that I talk in a way that dumbs things down, like the fact that I don't understand people, like the stuff that's going on in politics or whatever, and I talk about it in a dumbed down fashion, it's even better for a lot of people because they feel like they can understand better too. Just the way that is being explained. So maybe it feels more relatable or easier to understand. So that made me feel good. Alright, so sorry that I look like, whenever I don't wear makeup, I look like I'm like, crying or tired or whatever, because I've got this like redness under my eyes, but this isn't, I'm not sick or tired or anything. This is literally just how I look without makeup. And it's ironic that I'm saying this on a scope about how to not care about what people think. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this and not the hearing is because I don't know enough about the hearing to talk about it yet, so I can talk about it tomorrow, I can talk about it Thursday night, but also because this is something that's really important to me, not caring about what people think. It's a huge thing to me because as a girl, I experience this all the time. Girls tend to be very social creatures, and a lot of guys too, and we care a lot about what people think. Social creatures do. I'm not saying all girls, but social creatures care a lot about what people think because we rely a lot on the company of other people in order to feel fulfilled. And sometimes it can be good because we benefit a lot from other people, having other people in our lives, but it can also be very detrimental because we miss out on a lot of beautiful things in life just because we're so wrapped up in what somebody else is thinking. Other people, if you have positive people in your life, fine. If you have positive people in your life, it's still not good to care about what other people think, but you're a little bit better off because the positive people are going to send their positive energy towards you, and you're going to end up doing positive things to impress those positive people. and also they're not going to be jealous of you, they're not going to compete with you, they're not going to try to sabotage you, they're not going to be hateful towards you, they're just positive. So that's a little bit better. But most of the time, especially if you're like me and you live in big cities that are hectic, especially a place like Washington, D.C., which is a notoriously negative city. The highest level of mental illness in the country is not San Francisco, it's Washington, D.C. Okay, it's Washington, D.C., highest level of mental illness, highest level of alcoholism in the country. And if you're in a place like that, and that's where you're caring about what people think, then you're really screwed. And this becomes an even bigger issue for you. Doodle says, what other people think matters sadly. You can wake up one day and your reputation ruined. We just shouldn't obsess about it. You're right. It does matter on some level, but we're damaging things more by caring about it. Like, why does it matter? The reason why it matters is because we think it matters. Like, the reason why what other people think matters is because people care about what other people think. If everybody stopped caring about what other people think, then it wouldn't matter, because you would know that this guy is a good person just because they were smeared online as a bad person. It's not changing your mind. The only reason you're not hiring this guy or that guy for your business is not because he's incapable or a bad person in your eyes. It's because you don't want to ruin the reputation of your company, because you care about what other people think. So if people stopped caring about what other people think, then what other people thought wouldn't matter. Someone is saying there's a lot of cocaine in Washington, D.C. That's true. There's a lot of every type of drug in Washington, D.C. There's especially alcohol, because I don't even know. Maybe there's other drugs, more of it. But alcohol is more, alcohol is legal, so even the people who aren't the druggy types are drinking. So Washington, D.C. has a very, Washington, D.C., from anywhere that I've been ever, because I've lived in coastal cities my whole life. I lived in Los Angeles, New York City, I lived in Jerusalem, I spent some summers in South Haven, Michigan, which is like totally different ballgame, and that was like for overnight camp and stuff like that. So, Washington, D.C., and I've traveled a bunch. I feel like Washington, D.C. is like the place where people care a lot about what other people think. The most. It is a place where people really, really obsess for their businesses and for their friends. They really obsess over what people think. And it does a lot of damage to people's lives. This culture of caring about what other people think has been doing a lot of damage to other people's lives, because for the sake of what other people think, people are willing to destroy the lives of other human beings just because of what other people think. And it sounds crazy, but it's like a domino effect. It's a domino effect. When you care about what people think, then in order to do business with you, the person who does business with you has to care about what other people think, and it's like a domino effect. If you're willing to ruin someone's life because of what you care about other people think, that, and then the reverse is true. If you stop caring about what other people think, you could be saving lives. And I know it sounds dramatic, and you could say, well, not that extreme, but yes, that extreme. Yes, that extreme. If you could stop caring about what people think, you could save people's lives. What's so funny? We were talking about the school shooter case like last week. I think we were talking about it last week. And we were talking about the slow riot, the idea of slow riot, and kind of like a domino effect. People sort of, when somebody else does it, then you can do it, or you have a green light to do it, or you feel compelled to do it, to do your version, whatever. And if you stop caring, someone is asking if Pardes is a school in Jerusalem. Yes, there's a school in Jerusalem called Pardes. If you stop caring, if you didn't fire people, make people lose their entire livelihoods because of what other people think, if you didn't cause violence against people because of what other people think, then other people won't do too, and you will be saving lives. I strongly believe in this. As someone who has a very difficult time caring, trying to not care what other people think, I'm a people pleaser. That's because I'm a very social creature. I care a lot about being social and having friends. I obsess over that. About having friends, about my friendships. So it's something I work on a lot. And a few things that we have to realize before we care about other people think is that, first of all, you stop caring about what people think, you could be saving lives. Second of all, we're all gonna die. And everybody else is gonna die. And what everybody thinks won't matter. And then you can say, oh, but God will know what you think. But God will know what you did or said. God cares about, you have to care about what God thinks. Okay. If that's the case, you in your heart know what's right and what God wants from you. You know it. Nobody else knows it. So as long as you're true to yourself, you do what you in your heart know what's right, not what somebody else said is right, not what somebody else said God wants. What you know in your heart that God wants, you do that, okay? And what anybody else says doesn't matter. Because you're going to die, they're all going to die. The only thing that's left is that you did what was right. Someone says, let God do the judging. And I'm not saying that what you do doesn't matter. It does matter. It just doesn't matter in terms of what people will think. It matters about the effect. It matters to the extent that you think it matters. First of all, it really does matter if it doesn't matter to you, then it doesn't matter. But if it does matter to you, then, still what people think is not gonna do anything for you. Someone is asking what made me decide to leave my beliefs. Not believing in the first place. Not believing in the first place and only doing things because I wanted to please other people. And feeling afraid to do what I think is right. What I think is right is not that. But not that I don't think it's good. It's good for a lot of people, but I don't think it's right for me. So, a lot of people do things that they don't believe in and they don't care about. Very often, especially from my experience in the religious communities, because there is a lot of pressure in religious communities to be moral in the way that somebody else wants you to be moral, to defer to somebody else, defer to a rabbi or a priest or whatever, defer to somebody else to tell you what is moral. And that is the point of a religion. Somebody studying has more knowledge than you will know more, but very often we lose ourselves in the equation. We totally forget that we also have a brain, and we can still use our brain to digest what that person is saying and not completely lose ourselves. Someone is asking if I see the comments. Yes, I see the comments. I most definitely see the comments. Yeah. So you left religion when you were 12. I stopped being religious very much later in life, but being faithful, like, it was really a struggle. It was like, starting from like when I was a teenager, it was really a struggle for me to keep myself in the way that I was being educated, in the religious fashion I was being educated. So it was very difficult to like push myself to do it, because I just didn't feel like didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel like I was doing things that, yeah, it was just forcing myself. Wasn't excited about it. Everything became a drag, kind of like, became a prisoner. And then at some point, and then it was just for my family, because I don't want you can't leave. Once you leave, you've ruined your family's reputation. You've alienated yourself. You alienated everybody. Very often people don't care. People don't care, and you shouldn't care what people think. But in that sort of community that's very interdependent socially, it does affect you a lot. And at some point, I told myself, like, it doesn't matter. Is caring about what other people think, is that going to be more beneficial than enjoying my life? And a lot of religions don't believe in enjoying your life. They believe that you have to just suffer, and that's how you're gonna be you're gonna be saved. You're gonna enjoy the world to come. Suffering is virtue. I don't believe suffering is virtue, so whatever, A lot of people who suffer are causing other people to suffer. And there's no use in bringing more suffering into the world. There's no point of it to me. At some point, I was just like, you know what? If I'm gonna suffer anyway, then it doesn't matter. Like, I might as well just suffer, and I might as well just enjoy myself a little bit, and like, to hell with other people. So it also requires not caring about what other people think. Not caring about what other people think also requires you to take a leap, to take a jump, and it requires courage to not care about what people think, because you're basically you're dropping, in order to do what you want, you're basically like jumping out of your element. You're like stepping out of your zone. Someone says, I care about what the people I care about think. The thing about caring what other people think is that it puts a pressure on people. It really does. When you care about what the people you care about think, it's good to care about what they think. It is very important. Yeah, it's good to care about what they think. It's important to care about what they think. But also, like, sometimes, and I've seen this in people that are very close to me and that I've experienced closeness with, because we care about what other people think, for example, not wanting to hurt people's feelings, the people that we care about, not wanting to hurt their feelings, because we don't want to hurt people's feelings, we end up not being as honest and truthful to them. We end up not being ourselves, which ruins relationships. Being dishonest in a relationship, even if it's for good intentions, not being yourself, not being open about what your wants and needs are, Not telling the world, like, this is what I need in life. This is what I want. This makes me happy. This makes me sad. Not allowing yourself to be your true self. First of all, it sends a caged energy to people. It affects people. It makes people feel imprisoned, because when you feel imprisoned, you're sending that energy to other people. So you're not helping people. You're not helping the people around you. And second of all, you're not being truthful. You're not being communicative. You're causing them to not be truthful or communicative. You're not helping the people that you care about by caring too much about what they think. Alex says, if I love someone and I really admire them and I care about them and they think I'm a loser, I mean it would hurt me and I'd feel like I was doing something wrong. It would hurt me too. But if you can help it, it's important to not care about what they think, because and it hurts, but sometimes even the people who love us can hurt us the most. Alex says, I think Pardes is really cool and she thought I was a loser. What would make you think that? Why would you think that I think you're a loser? Oh, you're saying that as a scenario. Okay. Yeah, I don't think anybody is a loser. The thing is, like, the more compassion I learn to have for myself, the more accepting I become of myself and say, it's fine if I do this. It's fine if I make a video and I make a fool out of myself. It's fine if I do this embarrassing thing or that embarrassing thing and be a clown and, you know, jump in the Potomac or whatever. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It's okay. And have some sort of, like, being accepting of myself and being okay with myself. Then I can do that for other people too. The more accepting I am of myself, the more accepting I can be of other people. And make other people feel like they're not judged. Judge yourself less, criticize yourself less, and then you criticize others less too. Someone is saying I look topless. I'm not topless, I'm wearing a shirt. I'm not topless. Does it really look like I'm topless? I'm wearing a shirt, guys. In my experience, people caring about, and people are like, oh, the nice thing about communities that cause people to care about what other people think, it reduces crime, it reduces sin, because the more people care about what other people think, the less bad things they will do. And that is true to some level. But personally, I don't want to be in a society like that. I don't want to be in a society. And the thing is that, like, it does provide some level of control, but the thing is that, like, there are a lot of sins that people are still doing that are not, there are a lot of sins that people are still, a lot of crime that is still happening, just not in plain view. So it could actually be the same amount of crime and badness that's happening, but it's all under wraps. It's like, they're not gonna do it in public. They're not gonna talk about it. In a lot of religions, you can't go to authorities, you can't go to the police if something, you can't talk about it. If you are being assaulted by a religious leader, you can't talk about it. You would get in trouble, because religious authority is more important. What the religious community thinks is more important than what's right or what's good for you or whatever. So I'm just using religion as an example because that's from my perspective or what I experienced, but it applies to everything. I'm so sore because I just came back from like this. It's like pole dancing class. The thing about my pole dancing class is like, it's not just pole dancing, it's like everything. They do, it's more like acrobatics. Like I haven't taken a lot of actual pole classes. Most of what I've taken is mostly just sort of like gymnastics, if that makes sense. And I just feel so sore. Like my muscles are just so sore. But I could almost do not even almost, but like I'm on my way to doing a handstand. So we'll see if that works. Maybe I could do like like those handstands. That's like my goal. My goal is to be able to do like flips. So that's my goal. We're on our way there, but we're not there or even near there. So we'll see. I want to be able to do like go on my hand. Yeah. Practice makes perfect. There's so much that I'm doing now that I don't care about what people think. Like, because I don't care about what people think, I get to travel, I get to go, I make these videos. Because I don't care what people think, I started making these videos. These videos are like, it took a lot of just getting over making a fool out of myself. It took a lot of like being like, it's okay, and not watching the videos that I made just because like I would be so embarrassed. Someone is asking if guys can do it. Guys can do the gymnastic stuff. I think guys would be better at a lot of stuff. My classes are like 99% women, but guys can do a lot of the work better than women. The thing is that like a lot of it has to do with like hip stuff, which would actually probably be tough for men. Like a lot of splits. I don't know if men can do splits as easily. I imagine that it's more painful for a guy to do splits. Like a lot of splits, a lot of hip exercises. So the upper body stuff, I think it would be easier for men. Like, using your arms, like that's the hardest thing for me, is like pulling myself up, like the pull-ups. That's like the hardest thing for me. So, like ab stuff, that's hard for me. Even though I've been working on my abs for so long, if I don't do it a little bit, it's difficult. But like hip stuff, like all that stuff, I think it would be more difficult for dudes. Alright. There is this big fat dude who comes to our class, and like you see him and you're like, there's no way that this guy is getting on the pole or anywhere near a pole, like doing anything in this place. There's no way that this guy is doing any sort of gymnastics. The guy is like a professional pole dancer. He's like a big dude, and he gets on and he's like doing all these tricks, and you're just like it's like the trippiest thing ever. I mean, I'm not fat shaming. It's just like, you just don't expect a dude, like a big dude, to start doing pole tricks on a dancing pole. Okay. Another way to stop caring about what other people think is be like that guy. Be like the guy who comes into this class, who comes into this whatever. It's not one class, it's a set of gym, who comes into this gym. I don't know how else to call it. He comes into this gym or studio or whatever. Be that guy. Someone is saying, he's watching. Oh my gosh. I always run into people who watch these streams. Like, I always meet people who, like, watch the streams, and I'm so shocked. I'm just like, oh my god. This is so embarrassing. Like, this person watches my streams. And it kind of freaks me out. Yeah. Now I'm like worried about what people think. Like, oh my gosh, who's watching my streams that I know in person? Like, the people that I don't know came on here without knowing me, and they liked what I had to say from the beginning. But the people that I know might be coming on here just to kind of criticize. And without realizing, even if you love me consciously, when you're watching something because you know somebody, you're likely going to be more critical. And you're not necessarily going on there because the content is good, you're going on there because you know the person. So, like, I honestly, another thing that has helped me a lot get over my social anxiety is to just hang out with less people. Meet less people in real life. Try to really, really, really limit the amount of people that I see on a regular basis, that I talk to on a regular basis. Spend more time with people one-on-one. Don't spend a lot of time in events, social gatherings. When I left LA and I stopped going to all these weddings and events, that my family was going to weddings and events all the time. When I left LA and I completely living on my own, and like living on my own and doing everything myself, and stop going to like social events, that helped me so much. That changed the game, because I stopped caring about what people think, because I wasn't seeing all these people, and I was hanging out with people one-on-one. So that really helped, because when you hang out with somebody one-on-one, you get to connect on a personal level, and you don't care about what they think as much. Someone says isolating yourself made you more confident. I didn't isolate myself. Actually, in the first year, that I was here, I still wasn't doing that. But it's not isolating yourself. It's changing the type of relationships that you have. Going from having a lot of acquaintances. Acquaintances are like the worst thing in your life. Get rid of your acquaintances. Just don't answer. If you look at my phone, you'll see I have like 1,000, and I have over 1,000 text messages that are unread. Not text messages. Unread messages that I didn't even open. Like, I don't answer most of my text messages, but then on top of that, there's 1,000 that I didn't even open, not just answer. And that's because I stopped responding to people. If you're in my life and I talk to you on a regular basis, and you're my best friend, and it's not like have a click, it's just limit your communication. Only communicate when necessary. Only communicate when necessary. And only communicate when necessary, and if you're but don't feel obligated to communicate with people. Don't communicate with in the back of your head, like, oh no, like if I don't answer this person, I will lose this friendship, whatever. When I limited the amount of, when I tried to like limit my communication, when I realized that I don't have to answer everybody's text message, okay? You don't have to answer everybody's text message. That helps a lot. Yeah. Don't have to answer everybody's calls, everybody's text messages. They'll probably think that you hate them. That's fine. They'll probably think that you're mean and snobby, or yeah, you just hate them, or maybe you don't feel like talking to them. That's fine. You know that you don't, but you know also that you can't care, because it is more important to you that you have a few people that are very close to you, that you talk to regularly, that you've built like a close, intimate connection with. It's more important that you invest in those people, and then if you have time after that, and if you still feel like it, then you can connect to all those random acquaintances. That helps me a lot. Social anxiety takes over my life, and it stops me from being productive, and it stops me from doing the things that I'm meant to be doing. Life is short, YOLO. Okay. Someone is saying, "Don't permaban me, bro," on Twitch, is making fun of my TikTok. Oh no, I got a disease walking around, catching all the fleas. I forgot the lyrics, but I have a TikTok on it in my Instagram story. Everybody's like, "What you got? I got STDs," and then go to the doctor, and then I forgot how to go. Call the police. I forgot how it goes, but I forgot how it goes, but I made a TikTok. Go and follow me on Instagram if you want to see my TikTok stories. Some of them are funny. And there's one that talks, it's like the STD song. Oh no, I got a disease. Walk around through your neighborhood, spreading all my fleas. Okay. Remove sources of negativity immediately. Anybody that is sending you negativity, even if you love them and you care about them, step away from them. Be honest, be open, be compassionate and kind. And you can still care and love about people from afar. You can still love people from afar. I've literally helped people find jobs from afar without communicating with them. I have called somebody else to call them to offer them a job. Like that sort of thing. And this isn't something that I've done regularly, but I just use that as my example, just because that's a good example of, you can love somebody from afar, have their back from afar, but you don't have to be communicating with them and having them in your life constantly. You can love your family, and someone says this means that you have to cut your whole life dysfunctional family out. You can still love your family and not cut them out, but you can limit the amount of contact that you have with them. You can limit how much they are in your life, and you can set times that you communicate with them. If it means enough to you that you keep a relationship with your family, which to most people does, on some level, to have on some level connection with their family, then you can set a time once a week or whenever that you call your family members, so you talk to them. But as Jason in the comments says, your health comes first. And it's all to the extent that you can, to the extent that it's not killing you. And it does kill people. This sort of toxic energy, the negativity. I mean, even just looking on my Twitter feed and seeing like one hateful comment, there is this crazy ass person. Her name is Rochelle. I don't even know if that's her real name, but like, she's like so hateful. Like, she's constantly, and also kind of creepy. Like, she's like stalking, you know? Very hateful person. And just, I don't understand it. And that's just an example because you guys know, but in general, like, there's all sorts of people that are just so full of hate in their lives, and it's hate and negative energy, and getting involved in the negative energy causes you to have that too. Like, trying to fight back or trying to resolve it or trying to, like, you know, get yourself entangled in it is only gonna hurt you. You have to step away from the situation. You have to ignore them. I mean, see, I'm being a hypocrite because I didn't ignore, but the best option is always to ignore. I mean, you know, let them take their negative energy somewhere else. Let them find some other person to unleash their anger and everything on. The no contact policy, NC, it works. Every therapist is going to recommend it to you. You can stop communicating with your dysfunctional family until you are strong enough to handle it. Until you've built some sort of support system within yourself. Until you've built some sort of it's like your emotional muscle. Until you've worked on your emotional muscle and trained and set up sort of like a plan for when you do talk to your family. Set up some sort of like, okay, I'm going to talk to them this time, this day. I feel safe. I feel okay. Then you can do it. Like, being around negative people really does affect how you caring about people think. That's like a big thing. Just remove the negative people. Even if you are a negative person yourself, even more so. Like, if, you know, people are like, oh, well, you know, I get it, because I'm like that. I mean, I actually do this a lot, which I need to stop. But, like, I'll be like, well, I get it. You know, I like that, too. I have those moments, too, where I'm back. And it's like, even if you have those moments, too, and you're a negative person, it's not helping you or anybody if you're going to stick around negative people. Stick around positive people. Let the negative people go to somebody else. There are plenty of people in the world. Stick around the positive people. Find positive people to stick around. And you don't even have to stick around people. Do something with your time. Do something that's meaningful and productive and makes you feel good about yourself. Join a pole dancing class. Join gymnastics. Go start painting. Create some form of craft. Like, you know, learn to code. I feel like if I say learn to code, I'm going to get demonetized. Go to the beach by yourself. Go on a solo cruise. Watch a movie. Have fun. Do things that are fun by yourself. Go hiking. Read a book. Like, I don't know. Work. Do stuff that make you feel productive and useful and meaningful. And it kind of removes you from that negative energy. Another thing is, if you do have like a few people that you care about what they think, a few people that like if you really, really need to care about what people think and you can't just not care about anybody thinks, you need to rely on some people at least be very, very, very selective with who you're going to rely on about what they think or whatever, and then just stick to those people. Really, just stick to them and totally forget about everybody else. Completely forget about everybody else. You know that you have them, you can confide in them, you can ask their opinions. Everybody else is completely irrelevant. And, usually if it's like members in your family, because they have this sort of like blood connection to you and they're invested in you, biologically they feel invested in you. But if not, some sort of friend, neighbor, what I found is that the best people have been people who are older. Like if you're in your 50s, somebody maybe who's in their 80s. If you're in your 20s, maybe somebody in any time, and just older, not in their 30s usually. I mean, I have a friend in his 30s who's actually I have friends in their 30s who are amazing, but very often you can almost 100% rely on old people. Very old people don't care, or people who are like kind of old but like kind of approaching death, they don't care about what anybody thinks. Old people don't care about what anybody thinks, and those people are going to be honest with you. They don't have anything to lose. They're not competing with you. They don't want to sabotage you because what's the point to them? They're going to die anyway. Old people are like, someone says there's only 20 people in Pardes' chat whose opinions I care about. Funny. Yeah, old people are the best. If you find an old person. Find an old person that'll be your mentor, and they don't even have to know anything. They don't have to know anything or be smart or have anything to say. They could literally be this one person that you trust with everything. Rosemary says, I care. I love you, Rosemary. And I'm saying that for real. Rosemary has been just amazing and pure-hearted. And Rosemary actually was at the same paper as me for a while, the place where I worked. And she was, honestly, from everybody, from all the contributors, she was the fastest. She was the best, the most diligent, hardworking, and the most underrated. She was the fastest writer and just hardworking and also very patient. A lot of her stuff would get nixed and she would have to delete her entire articles and redo them. And she was just patient. It was really cool. And you don't come across a lot of people like that, especially in the media industry. I'm glad to have Rosemary, and maybe I'll see her soon. I keep pushing off going to Tennessee, but it's coming. It's gonna happen. So there isn't anything that you can do about there really is gonna always be someone that hates you, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You could be so kind to somebody and they will still hate you. They might even hate you more because they want to hate you, but you being nice to them is making it more difficult for them to hate you, so they hate you even more. It's really weird. It's a really weird logic, but it's real. There are gonna be people who hate you no matter what, and it's you literally can't do anything about it. Someone is saying, are you trolling me? Dude, I'm serious. You can't understand. You can't understand everybody. You won't be able to understand everybody. Their problem. My mom said, growing up, if a relationship falls apart, there isn't one healthy person in the relationship. There isn't one perfect person. Like, if a relationship falls apart, then you know that both parties have problems. Because if only one party had a problem, the like we bring out certain qualities in other people. So you could be the nicest person, just a great person, whatever, but even if you are perfect in the sense that you're kind, healthy, good-natured, everything is perfect about you, you're not perfect in a relationship. I'm saying this wrong. But you could still bring out like the worst in some people. And you can still be you can still be in a bad relationship. I don't know where I was going with this. But yeah. It's like, no matter what, you're just gonna always be around some bad people. And this is stuff that I keep telling myself. I keep ending up like around very negative people. Like, people who are very angry. And I always wonder, like, why is everybody mad at me all the time, and why am I always around people who are mad at me all the time? And the reason for that, I think, is because I obsess so much about what people are thinking and this and that. And in fact, it gets on people's nerves more when you do care about what people think a lot. It gets on people's nerves. Because they're like, they don't want a relationship with just a pet. They want a relationship with a human being. They don't want to feel like Someone's pizza's here. Danny says, how do I stop worrying about my family's approval at 22 years old? If you live with your family, it's much harder. Like, I remember like wanting to date this guy, and my parents, and it was like through a matchmaker. My parents were like, didn't want it. And I remember the matchmaker saying, like, if you're 26 and not living with your parents, then that's a different story. But you're 20 and you live with your parents, so like, you can't just do whatever you want. And if you live with your parents, it's not just that you will care about what your parents think, but you're just generally more socially interdependent. You're more dependent on your family. You still are psychologically dependent on other people, and it's fine. It's just, you have to find other ways to make your mind more independent. Like, you have to find other ways to like not care about what people think, and even like not to not care about what your parents think, even though you're living with your parents. And someone says parents are important. They are really important, but the point is that caring about what people think is not necessarily helping them or helping anybody. Caring too much. My pizza's not here. I don't have pizza. Like, if you're 22, I don't know. I also feel like people grow out of it too eventually. Like, everybody that I know has cared more about what people think, like, like a few years ago. Hey, Daniel! I care about what Daniel thinks. Some friends also, like, if you, and this is like so cliche, it's like, people say it all the time, but it's so true. Like, if you can be your most embarrassing self in front of somebody, if you can just like completely be yourself in front of someone, be your most embarrassing self, and not feel like bad about yourself, that's how you know it's a good relationship. Like, not only does caring about obsessing over what people think hurt the relationships we do have, they also attract us to negative relationships. Like, they also attract us to people that aren't necessarily meant to be in our lives. Daniel says, I disavow everybody except Pardes. When I met Daniel, I knew that I was connected to Daniel instantly in a way that I have never been connected to anybody. It's like this energy that you feel right away. And it's like a spiritual energy, even though, you know, like, it's like you feel it. You feel like certain people have like this energy. And sometimes, and this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. It happens a lot with friendships. It happens, especially, you notice it more with relationships. With relationships, like dating. It happens very often that you end up in a relationship where, like, you're so into the other person and you think they're perfect and they're right and everything, but for some reason you just feel like so self-conscious around the other person, and you feel so like you don't feel like you can talk to them about everything. You don't feel like, you feel like you're being too much. That's like what I always experience. I always feel like I'm being too much. And a rule that I made for myself, it's very, very recent, like very recent. And I've been starting to do this. If I feel like too much, it's more a rule that I made for dating, because dating is more like an intimate experience. So it's more dating. In dating, if you feel like you're not being yourself and you're being too much, it's not a good sign. People are like, yeah, it means you love the person so much, you like them so much, oh, you're just shy and embarrassed. It's not a good sign. Like, if you feel like you're being too much, that's a bad sign. You either have to like tell yourself, it doesn't matter how they're making me feel. It doesn't matter if they make me feel like I'm too much, because I'm not too much, and I don't want to be with somebody who thinks that I'm too much. So I might as well just be myself, be my too much self, and if people can't handle it, then whatever. But it's already, to me, a red flag if I feel like I can't just be my normal self, somebody that I'm dating. Because there's always, and I know for myself, there's plenty of people who are fine with me being too much. And for everybody, even the craziest person out there, even the people that I think are like the most insane, abusive, crazy people who are just awful, even those people have people in their lives who don't think that they're too much, that they can still be themselves in front of those people, and those people somehow, some way will still love them. There's somebody who loves everybody. I'm not even gonna say them because I don't want to make sound bites, but even the worst, think of like the worst person ever, even the worst people ever have people who love them and who respect them and care about them and who don't think that they're too much. Everybody's got a seat, says Killmatic. Some of the comments in here, oh my god. Anyway, that's my schmooze for the day. Anybody have any questions? Any questions or comments? Someone commented that she's lonely. I'm assuming you're talking about me. The more I stop caring about what people think, the less lonely I get. And that's like a big thing. The more I stop caring about what people think, the less time I spend in like social gatherings, the more time I spend with myself, and not just with myself, but just with fewer people, but like longer periods of time and more intimate settings, the less lonely I feel. And I really think that could be true for anybody. The more you stop caring about what people think, the less lonely you feel. Someone is asking, do you think Washington, D.C. is harder city to date than in L.A.? I don't know. I didn't really date in L.A. I didn't date in L.A. I mean, if I did, it was just through matchmakers, but I still didn't date in L.A. I was mostly dating other... Yeah. I don't know. D.C. is just... It's just hard to date because, like, for me, it's like... I don't like want to date people that I know or that anybody that I know knows. And it's really hard in a tiny town like DC because when you date, and a lot of guys don't care about this, but I do, which is when you date, the thing about dating in any sort of town where everybody knows each other is that the thing that I experience with men is that men like to show off. That's just a manly quality, and it's fine to be that way because it's a manly quality. So men like to show off. If you date one man in the city, like that guy will make sure that every other man in that city knows that he dated you. And even if he doesn't want to date you, this guy has like claimed his territory. Even if he doesn't even want you. And I find that men are like that. They like to claim their territory. They don't want anyone to... And women are like that too, but I think men are like that a little more. And so it just gets me really annoyed. So I like to stay away from people that I know. Or that know anybody that I know. Because I don't, you know, and actually the truth is it really doesn't make so much of a difference to me now because I've not been spending so much time in social circles around people that like know each other. So that actually really helps. And yeah, I'm also like, I don't know. Everything is much harder when you care about people think. Like when you obsess over people think, everything becomes harder. Dating becomes harder, and like friendships become harder. Everything becomes harder. So Ira says I should move to Kingston, Jamaica, and marry a tour guide. Okay. Love you guys. See you all tomorrow. Oh my gosh, Daniel. Daniel's very protective of me. So if anyone has any questions, they have to take it up with Daniel. Alex says don't go. Alex is bribing me to stay. Okay. Alright, Alex. I'm gonna go now. Also, another thing is that I just wanted to... Someone is saying I just described a situation where I care about what everybody in DC thinks. Yes. That's why I made this live stream, because I care too much about people think, and I'm working on it. But I think I'm better than I was before. This is very important to me, which is why I talk about it. Like, it's very important to me to care less about people think. Because the less I care what people think, the less lonely I feel, the less problems I have, the less drama I have in my life, the less I'm attracted to people with drama, the more productive I become, the less time I waste, the better I feel about myself, the more adventurous I become. So like everything good happens when you stop caring what people think. Alright, so I was supposed to have a vlog out yesterday, but my vlog schedule is a little bit wonky because I didn't have a vlog, like, just, I don't know. I've just been such weird schedules that are like unexpected. But I didn't, I was kind of late with the last vlog. It ended up being out on Sunday. And so then I didn't have anything for Monday. And I didn't have anything for today. And I'm thinking of maybe just skipping the Monday vlog and just go straight to the Thursday vlog, which will come out on Thursday. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I'm going to make a post about it so you can comment on the post. Or you can just comment on this video. So, yeah. Anyway, someone is saying I like ASMR. Maybe I'll make an ASMR vlog. Okay. Alright, maybe I'll make an ASMR vlog just to see what it's like. It would be funny. Okay. Alright. See you all tomorrow night. Be there, be square.